I want to know how you feel about this clip now. A month ago, there were two individuals standing on stage making a speech where one politician was presenting another that was running for office for the mayor of Minneapolis. So let's check out this video clip and then talk about how we feel about this now, today. Let's jump over here where you can see what I'm talking about. Let's listen to a little bit of this and then react to it and talk about how we feel.
dadkaas iska qabta meel ma gaarin anaga Soomaali hadii aan nahay inta dadkaas ay nagu dhex jiraan oo aanan dhehaynin qofkaanay hana dhaafo waxaan rabaa mayor aniga imatalayo Ingiriis ku hadlo marka waxaan ku dhahay ninka af Soomaali ma ku hadle maxay tahay Soomaaliga sheego Omar waa qofka kaliyo markii dadka Uber ama Lyft drive gareeyaan uu governorka iyo mayorka iyo qof kasta uu yiri wax aan ku qaban karo male orsaco yiri aniga habeen iyo maalin waa idin soo taagnaanaya aniga 1 AM
Okay, I think I've heard enough. How do you feel about this now? How do you feel about these two individuals standing on this stage where Ilhan Omar is laughing it up? It's all jokes, it's all fun and games. What a great guy that we're presenting here to be the mayor of Minneapolis in the state of Minnesota. What are your thoughts now, today, after knowing all of the debauchery that has gone on in the state of Minnesota at the hands of Governor Tampon Tim Walz, who obviously, for the past 10 years, has allowed this state to let these people run amok. All the while, we're not supposed to say a gosh darn thing about it, or we will be branded as racist. Now, this just seems to me to be the perfect setup for the biggest fraud scandal in modern history. How do you set it up? Well, first, you allow an illegal immigrant invasion to take place during the Biden administration. Now, let's give full credit where credit is due. The Somalians came over here not during the time of Biden's administration. It was actually before that. I believe it was when George Bush gave amnesty to the Somalians. They were here seeking asylum. So they set up camp in Minneapolis and turned it into Minnesota. Right. And so then while Governor Tampon Tim Walz was in power, helping these people out to become Americans, helping them to get situated, helping them financially. This is humanitarian aid, right? Well, someone along the lines taught them how to fleece the system for everything it is worth. So we had to sit back and watch over the past 10 years, maybe longer, because there have been news reports on major networks from 10 years ago where there were whistleblowers who were reporting fraud in the hundreds of millions, but nothing was ever done about it. Now today, fast forward to today, and the major news networks won't discuss or report on this unless they're forced. So now they're finally talking, but they're defending these people. And what are they saying? That we're being racist and we're being xenophobic to dare to say that it's the majority of the Somali community that is behind this fraud. So instead of focusing on the $8 billion that was stolen from tax-paying citizens, money funneled into Somalia, China, and other nefarious nations, pirate groups, and terrorist organizations, well, that's not the crime. The crime comes from us for pointing out the fact that 88 of the individuals who have been thrown in jail are all Somalians. We're the racists for pointing out the fact that the very people that were stealing federal funds were contributing to the campaign of Ilhan Omar and helping this individual, Omar Fateh, as he was running for mayor. Now, do you remember a couple of years ago, while Biden was still in office, when there were whistleblowers saying there's stealing that's going on with the assistance programs that were receiving federal money at the behest of these two people. Well, what did they say? They said, you're starving people. We're trying to get the Feeding Our Future program going, but there's so much government red tape slowing us down. We've got starving children who aren't being fed. So what did they do? They went to Tim Walz and said, remove all the stops, pull out all the stops so we can get this money, because it's racist to slow down the federal funding for our program, Feeding Our Future. It should have been called Frauding Our Future. So instead of putting the smack down on the people that were stealing, Governor Walz put the smack down on the people that were blowing the whistle. And then what did the news media do? They jumped on the bandwagon and enabled the people committing the fraud by screaming racism. Yeah, racism from the same people who claim not to be black because, oh, well, we are not black. Black means slavery, and we were never slaves. We are not any lowly black people like those black Americans. We're better than them. That's what they said. But then when they get caught with their hands in the cookie jar, oh, it's not all laughing and jokes and fun and games like the jubilant nature of this little gathering and speech. No, it wasn't funny anymore. And in fact, Ilhan Omar herself said, this is racism. And it's the white supremacists who are behind this. The same people who said, how dare you call us black, are now saying, oh, we're black people, and they're being racist against us. So we're not allowed to call out fraud. We're not allowed to say that, okay, you got a bunch of people concentrated in Minneapolis who claim that they're the rightful owners of Minnesota. And by the way, the governor even believes that, as he changed the state flag to reflect the Somali flag. Yeah, they went all the way, full stop. We're going to turn this state into Minnesota. So rather than calling them out or allowing them to be called out, well, we're going to deflect. And we're going to say that the real crime is pointing out that these people are behind the fraud. And it's the majority Somalians who are funneling this money back to their country. Well, we can't group them all. Of course, we can't group them and say all Somalians are bad, and that is true. But then again, we can't deny the fact that over 80% of the Somalians in Minnesota are on government assistance. Now, how can it possibly be that you have more than 80% of your people on assistance, on the welfare program, getting SNAP benefits, getting all of that free food, but they need more money and they need the red tape to be cut out of the way so they can get more federal funds to the tune of $8 billion. Can you show me one starving young person who is Somalian in the state of Minnesota? Where are all the starving kids? No, it doesn't stop there. Not only do they not have any starving kids, but the hundreds of thousands of people that they listed who were recipients of the Feeding Our Future program don't exist. They made up the names. There was no accountability. There were no checks. There were no inspections of the people who were supposedly receiving all of this food. Now, how much does it take to even feed these people? That's what I want to know. So maybe you've got 100,000 Somalians in Minnesota. How much food could you possibly eat? If they've run through $8 billion of federal funding, you would think that you wouldn't be able to find a single kid who weighs less than 450 pounds. My God, how in the world would they be able to eat up all that food? There's enough money that has been stolen from the federal government to feed every human being on planet Earth for perpetuity. But they needed more money, and they needed the bureaucracy to step back and get out of the way so they could feed their future. Well, I tell you what they fed us was a line of bull. Yeah, they fed us a load of garbage and then turned around, flipped the script and accused us of being the villains because we are racist. So is this what America is coming to? What happened to the melting pot? What happened to the idea that people would apply for citizenship by legal means, come to this country, and then assimilate and learn the language? Here you've got these folks who don't even speak English. We've seen several YouTube content creators going to visit Minnesota, stopping people in the streets asking for an interview, finding out that they don't even speak English. So that's what this nation has come to. And then to add insult to injury, we had the lieutenant governor, I believe it was, where she decided, well, I'm going to put on a hijab and stand with these people and defend them and join the party screaming racism. So this is the melting pot. But when these people come over with their foreign culture, we're supposed to join them, not these people joining us. We're supposed to learn a different language and even teach our mayor, the white guy, the white mayor, how to speak Arabic so he can address the crowd that is voting for him. We are supposed to assimilate to their culture and then hand over all of our money and let them do whatever they want, to the point where you had Somalians getting on airplanes with briefcases stuffed full of cash. Where were the FBI agents when these people were boarding these airplanes with these briefcases full of cash? How in the world did they pass through airport security, hauling out large enough amounts of cash that the IRS would probably stop you dead in your tracks? Can any of us board a plane with a suitcase stuffed with $100,000 and expect to get on board? No, we'd be thrown in jail. But, we don't want to stop these folks from doing it because that would be racist, xenophobic. We would be the bad folks for looking down on them just because of their ethnicity. Well, the sad fact is, if the majority of this group from this ethnicity becomes the most practiced and proud robbers, pirates, people who steal and funnel money back to their country, well, then you can't cry about it when you're called out. But I'd sure like to know what your thoughts are. Is this where America should continue to go forward? Should we continue to allow other countries to pour in by the hundreds of thousands and millions, refusing to assimilate into our culture and not even require them to speak our language? Should we continue to say, hey, hands off, we don't want to investigate, we don't want to stop them and have government red tape, we don't want to get in the way of them receiving their federal funds, and it would be racist for us to put our thumb on the nonsense and press forward and say, prove to us what you're doing with this money like everyone else in this country has to do? I'd sure like to know what your thoughts are, because I am very irritated by all of this nonsense. Let me know what your thoughts are. Like and subscribe, and we will chat in the future. That's all I got for this one. This is Carlton, and I am out.